All right, quick facts. Real estate Ocean City market 2025 at the current pace will go down as the least amount of sales on record in the past decade. That's right, from 2016 to 2025, 2025 will have the least amount of sales. Additionally, 2025 will also have less than 1% appreciation year over year. So, what's that headline? The market's crashing, Ocean City is tumbling. And so, why is this important? And I just received, some phone calls from some buyers and sellers, and we were actually having this discussion, and we're trying to position them for 2026 after the holidays. And so I did a deep dive in the past 10 years for numbers, and I thought it'd be super important to share that information because numbers alone, honestly, are just boring. To read them, to kind of go through them, it loses me quick. But so what I want to do is try to help you look at the bigger picture and see how those numbers actually fit into maybe what you're going to be doing in 2026. Maybe you'll be the buyer, maybe you'll be the seller, maybe you'll just sit and watch and see how it goes. And, since 2016 through 2025, the Ocean City market has seen an 80% increase in property value. Now, 21% of that has been from 2021 through 2025. 52% of that has come from 2020 to 2025. So there's been a lot of appreciation in the last 5 years overall. The vast majority of that coming 2020, 2021, and 2022. The last 2 years, obviously this year is going to be less than 1. Last year was a little bit over 1%. So again, you can see how the market has been, the ebb and flow of it. And so looking into the horizon, trying to figure out how to help my clients position themselves, we need to know where we are, where we've been, and where we're going to go. And as a side note, I truly wish I had $1 for everybody back in 2020 who told me market's going to crash. We're going to go back to 2016 prices, 2018 prices. That didn't come to fruition. It didn't happen. And so the question everybody's asking again is, are we going to see that huge decline that everybody's been waiting for? And, honestly, the numbers that we're looking at just don't show it. Actually, it's kind of telling a different story. And so the story simply is this, is that, the beach hasn't had the correction everybody said it had. What it's having is a soft landing. So we've gone from, huge amount of appreciation down to a minimal amount this year. And at the meantime, what's been interesting as well is the listings on the market have also dropped. So, but inventory has gone up. And why is that all interesting? And what's interesting is this, is that there's no panic. People are still buying. People are still selling. What we can't control are the interest rates or, the government shutdown, things that definitely do hurt the beach. And, why does that kind of hurt the beach? And I think people need to understand the beach market is over 75% of people who own at the beach don't live here. It's a vacation home, a second home, could be a rental investment, or could be a hybrid. It could be something where, people do rent a little bit and they also use for themselves. And so, the people who buy that 75%, for the most part, this is discretionary funds. And so the big difference between it being a primary and discretionary is that when the economics turn a bit south, those people who have, this as a second property, vacation, maybe a rental, they're not in the same position. Oh my gosh, lost my job. I need to do a fire sale, or, we can't buy. They already own, they can wait it out. And the vast majority, or not the vast majority, a lot of buyers or owners current, bought when the interest rates were 2, 3, 4, and low fives. So they're in a really good position to carry these properties through the time. And so when you look into 2026 and how to position yourself for it, what I'm telling the sellers is this, is that look, properties are selling. And, me being here and selling at the beach, I've seen properties come on the market, multiple offers the first day, go over list price in December of 2025. So that's still happening. It's not happening like it was, prior in 2021 and 2022, but the right property at the right price and the right condition still has a ton of buyers going after it. So we have a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines watching. The vast majority of them are waiting for interest rates to drop. They just don't want to get involved in the over 6% interest rate. which is interesting to me because obviously I've been doing this for a very long time. Started, real estate back in 2000, buying and selling myself. And, 6%, that's pretty low. I mean, my commercial loans on my rentals, that's the 7.5% right now. And so, historically, we're still at a low rate, but it's not what everybody's used to. So for sellers, you have buyers. And what you need to do is make sure that when you price your property, you price it properly for the condition and for the location it's in. If you're in a building that's not desirable, or you're having some assessment issues and maybe it needs to be remodeled, you can't have aspirational pricing like it was back in 2020, 2021. You have to be realistic. And those sellers that are being realistic are getting their property sold within the time frame that they're looking for, their game plan. And those who literally are just have a high price tag on the property because they just have not come to the realization that that's not where we are anymore, you're going to sit. Buyers, look, this is a great time to buy. And why is that? Last month was the first month in a long time. I'm going on record probably saying probably in the past 8 years where our inventory was 6.05 saturation, which means a little bit over 6 months, all things being equal, for all the properties to sell off the market at the current clip they're selling. For reference, during the pandemic, we were down to 1.2 months. So as you can see, that's a huge delta between the two. And the rule of thumb is this: anything under 4 months is a seller's market. Anything over 6 months is a buyer market, and then a balanced market is between 4 and 6 months. So us sitting in this buyer market right now, and you thinking of 2026 right now with the interest rates where they are, is, hey, listen, I can probably go down there. I can make an offer. Maybe I want some seller contribution. Maybe I don't want to get involved in a escalation clause. I want to make sure I have a home inspection. People were waiving home inspections and escalation clauses back in 2021 to get the property they wanted because there was so much competition. And the competition, while it's here for specific properties, in general for the market, it's not here. And so moving forward, and again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I truly do believe as we're seeing it, the interest rates are going to start to come down. And everybody's like, well, the Fed just dropped a quarter point. Remember, the Fed doesn't have a direct correlation on residential in the way we think of it. We're more based off the 10-year bond, and I'm not going to get into the minutia of how that all works. But sentiment, buyer sentiment, is super important. And as the Fed drops, most buyers are thinking in their head, okay, now we start to need to get geared up to buy. Now, what's going to happen? This is, what I'm foreseeing coming down is, as the interest rates come down, those buyers are going to start coming off the fence to enter into the market. Well, the market currently in 2025 was one of the past least amount of new listings in the past 4 years. So while inventory is going up, the listings have dropped. And why is that? I think part of that is because sellers, for the most part, who don't have to sell, are saying, hey, listen, I'm going to wait till the market is better and there's more appreciation. And so what I think is going to happen is you may see more listings come on the market when the interest rates come down, but you're going to have more buyers entering the market. And so you're going to have more competition, which is going to start to drive those prices back up again. So myself included, I think there's a window right now. If you find a property, again, the key is this: finding a property that you want, finding a property that you can afford, finding a property in a location. And I call it JOI, it's joy of investment. And you have to see, as a buyer, yourself leaving the comforts of your home and coming to the beach to own. And if you find a property like that, you take advantage of the market that we're in right now. If you don't see that, or there's not the property out there, then you do wait, of course. So you don't rush that. So, as you plan for 2026, I would say buyer and seller, be realistic, understand where the market is and where it's going. And, if we keep hearing that there's a crash, ask your realtor to see the numbers. The numbers tell the full story of what's happening in the market. If you ever have any questions about the Ocean City real estate market, please give me a call or subscribe to my Beach Life Unlocked channel, or feel free to email me at any point in time. Have a great day.